A Tacoma, Washington tenant rights group is pushing an initiative that will force landlords to fund the relocation for tenants who cannot pay more than a 5% rent increase, and also prohibit evictions from taking place during the school year if there are children in the household and during the winter. Welcome to the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Before we jump into this video, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a comment if you find this video helpful. Also, if you're interested in buying your first out-of-state property, if where you live is incredibly expensive, I'm hosting a 4-week workshop starting on November 1st. We're going to talk about all aspects of buying your first out-of-state property. So if you're interested, go to outofstatemoney.com/workshop or click the link in the description of this video. All right, so let's jump right into it. As I mentioned, a tenant rights group is pushing forth an initiative that'll be voted on in November, so very, very soon. So the way this episode will work is I will basically get into the details of what's going on and share my opinions. And then at the end of the video, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree with this. Let me know if you don't agree. I'm open to all opinions. So let's jump right into it. So the Tacoma for All Tenants Rights Group is pushing an initiative that, again, will require landlords to offer relocation assistance if a tenant cannot pay a rent increase of 5% or more. And it's also going to prohibit certain evictions during the school year and in the winter meaning from November to April, and adopting a landlord fairness code, which will require landlords to comply with tenant protection laws before raising the rent. And I'm going to give it a little more detail. So I mentioned the relocation assistance. I'm going to read what exactly that means and what exactly that's going to look like. So under Tacoma for All's initiative, landlords must pay tenants at least 2 months of rent if they decide to relocate after receiving a notice of their rent increasing 5% or more. The tenant relocation amounts shall be equal to 2 months of rent. However, if the notified rent increase is over 7.5%, the relocation assistance shall be equal to 2.5 months of rent. And if notified that the rent increase is over 10%, the relocation assistance shall be equal to 3 months of rent. So pretty much what's going on, or what will happen if this thing gets voted to pass, is it sounds like it's a sliding scale. So the higher the percentage of the rent increase, then that means the higher amount of relocation assistance someone has to provide. Now, I don't know the average rent for 1, 2, 3 bedrooms in Tacoma, Washington, but I know Washington is not a cheap state. So you can kind of put two and two together. You know, someone could absolutely be paying someone upwards of $5,000 or more to move out. I'm going to estimate it's a minimum of $6,000 or more to move out if they need to increase the rent by 10%. So, you know, I think that this is terrible. I really hope this doesn't go through. And there are a number of reasons why. But let's hear from a landlord who already offers below market rent in the Tacoma, Washington area. And she says a rule like this punishes landlords who already offer housing below market rate, because then she could never raise rent enough to recoup her losses or even reach market rate without having to pay thousands out. I definitely empathize with this landlord. You never know what's going to happen with the laws in certain cities. So I don't recommend ever charging below market rent. And if you do, make sure you're not too far from the market rent in case you need to increase it or in case you decide to increase it. And so I definitely feel for this person and whoever else might be in this situation. So here's what I think. If this gets passed in November, the government should absolutely reimburse landlords for all of the losses that they incur for not being able to evict non-paying tenants. I think it's extremely unfair to have something in place that's going to punish the little person. And here's what's going to happen, right? If this thing goes through, those who take advantage of landlords will be absolutely enabled because they won't be able to be evicted during a certain period of time. Now, the average landlord is a mom and pop landlord. And what I mean by mom and pop An average person like you and like me, who has a property, maybe several, who's making some additional income, that is the demographic of most landlords. Now, we cannot withstand not receiving rent for 6, 7, 8, 9 months and having to still pay our mortgages and still pay all of our expenses. Property taxes going up, insurance is going up, everything is going up. And so there needs to be some sort of support for landlords in this area if this thing goes through. So the first thing is the government should absolutely pay landlords for the times they cannot evict non-paying tenants, because it's just the fair thing to do. And like I said, we're not corporations. The average landlord has several properties. And so earlier I mentioned we cannot withstand not receiving rent for such a long period of time, right? You know who can? Wall Street. You know who can? These big corporations who are gobbling up single family homes all over the country. We've read the headlines. I've posted about it. I've made videos about it. That's not going to stop. But as long as the laws go in that direction where we're strapped, where the small landlord is strapped, folks might eventually lose their homes or decide to sell and completely get out of the landlord business. Now, a big hedge fund can buy up all the properties that the small time landlords don't want, and they can wait. They can wait and not receive their rent and then charge the next tenant the maximum possible price. So that's exactly what's going to happen. I also foresee some landlords might just take their properties off the market completely. So landlords who would rather pay their mortgage, or if the house has no mortgage, pay the property taxes, the insurance and utilities, and take it off the long-term rental market altogether. Maybe some folks might end up transitioning to midterm rentals or to short-term rentals that won't be under those same strict laws. And what is that going to do? That's going to take homes off the market, apartments off the market. And when you lower the supply, what happens? The price goes up. So I don't think this is going to help. I believe that this tenant rights group is being extremely short-sighted, and it's not going to end well. The other thing is this is not going to incentivize developers to come and want to develop. Why would a developer want to come and develop under such a strict environment, knowing that if they are developing and intending to keep it, that there could be a period of time during which they cannot collect rent or they cannot evict somebody because of this law, right? And also, if they are building to sell, why would somebody buy the building or the property under these circumstances, knowing that if a tenant refuses to pay, they have to let them stay for free and there's nothing they can do about it? So in summary, I'm all about balance. I think if we can meet somewhere in the middle across the board, across the country, and come in the middle somewhere, it'll be tremendous, right? I understand if the government wants to, or the tenants right group wants to prevent people from being evicted during the winter, during the school year, and so forth. However, what about the landlord? The landlord has responsibilities as well. I think if the government reimburses the landlords or pays the landlords in place of the tenants while they wait to go through the eviction process, hey, I'm not going to complain too much. But I think if you just are putting people in a position where they might lose their homes, fall behind on their mortgages, and not be able to pay their bills, it's a terrible thing. So I'm curious to know, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Either way, I would love to hear from you. And also, if you are interested in learning how to leave your job through real estate, check out this video right here, and you'll learn how to do it in a realistic way. All right. Like this video, subscribe, share with a friend. I look forward to hearing from you soon.